Hi, I'm Amber Watkins, Director of Alumni Relations at the Krannert School of Management, and I'm here today with our Krannert Executive Forum speaker, Mike Hurd. Mike is the President of the Worksite Division at CNO Financial Group. Hi, Mike.
Good morning, Amber.
It's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Thank you for being here. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about your experiences, both at Purdue and throughout your career. You are a two-time alum from Purdue University, a proud Boilermaker.
That's right, boiler up.
Yep, and you have your bachelor's and your master's degree from the College of Engineering and Industrial Engineering, right?
Correct.
Why did you choose engineering as a field of study, and why specifically did you choose Purdue?
Yeah, great question. So math and science was always my thing growing up, and especially in high school. And I went to high school in Ohio and wanted to move away. And Purdue fit that bill, but more importantly, when you say engineering, you think Purdue, and that's a place I wanted to test out. My parents are actually Michigan alum. I always tell them I got into Michigan, but I went to Purdue.
That's good. Well, we're glad you did. And from your time transitioning out of your college career, transitioned then into a career in the military and served 7 years in the United States Air Force. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose to join the military and what that experience was like?
You know, one important thing to note is I was a ROTC student here at Purdue, and the Air Force paid for my education. It was one of the reasons I was able to go to school and go to school out of state. So that was important. You know, the Air Force, especially in those days in the Cold War, kind of known for technology, and so that seemed like the right place to be an engineer. And actually, I did 7 years of active duty, so more than kind of was required to pay back the scholarship. But then I did another 13 years in the reserves before I retired. Now 10 years ago this year.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for your service.
It was a privilege.
And after your military career, then transitioned into the corporate world, taking a job with GE Financial. How did you make that transition from your military, full-time military career to the corporate, and how did you transition some of those skill sets?
Yeah, because it was very different. It was a time, my wife and I and the family, to think about, did we want to stay 20 years in the Air Force, or was it time to explore some different career opportunities? And GE at the time, General Electric was hiring junior military officers to spread out throughout their businesses, and I explored that and hired on with GE, and they sent me to a newly acquired insurance company in Richmond, Virginia. And my plan at the time was to do that for a couple years and return to power systems or lighting or med systems, going back to engineering roots. But I was learning and growing and kept working with GE Financial and its insurance division. And 16 years later, I kind of realized I think I'm an insurance guy.
So that ultimately then led you to the position that you hold currently. So can you talk a little bit about a day in the life as the president of the Worksite Division for CNO Financial Group?
Yeah, well, you know, almost no 2 days are the same. And if you followed anything over the last couple weeks, no things are definitely the same right now. But I kind of pride myself on being a general manager and being able to pull together a lot of multiple disciplines. And so one of the things that I find super exciting about my job is I could be working on sales and marketing and revenue generating initiatives in the morning, and by the afternoon into deep actuarial science and financials in the afternoon. And I love how the days and the weeks go by and things are so different. And then oftentimes taking things like revenue generation and kind of back-end finance and putting them together and integrating everybody's perspective to put together strategy and plans.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me how you've taken your career, your education in engineering, your career as an engineer, transitioned it into business, and certainly you are an adopted alum of the Krannert School, having been very involved in our school over the past several years, serving on our Dean's Advisory Council. Can you talk a little bit about the marriage between engineering and business and how you've seen those two functions overlap in your career?
Yeah. At Krannert, I feel like a wedding crasher, right? Kate snuck in at Krannert. I really believe in engineering as an education and not necessarily a training. And sometimes people ask me, why engineer, but you're in finance or insurance, how does that work? And I often say, not everybody that studies history becomes a historian, and not everybody who studies English literature writes for a living. And so not every engineer has to just be an engineer. And so I really feel like I'm prepared by my education at Purdue to just solve problems in an engineering kind of way, but in a lot of different places. And that's one of the reasons I'm so thankful for my years at Purdue and my continued affiliation with Purdue, is because I feel like I was educated and prepared to function in a lot of different environments.
Perfect. So ultimately, you're here today to speak to our students in our Krannert Executive Forum class. What is the message that you hope they walk away with after hearing you speak?
One message that I definitely want them to hear is there's not one way, one path. I talk to a lot of young people. I mentor people over in the College of Engineering, and they sometimes think they're making choices right now that are going to be very permanent choices in their career. I don't think I've made a permanent choice yet, even in my career. And so that's one message I want them to understand, is there's a lot of ways in which to travel kind of the career ladder, a lot of ways to pivot, and at times things even happen by mistake, luck, but if you just kind of stick to what you're good at, lean on your education, lean on your character, the good things will happen. And like I mentioned about being in insurance for so long, I didn't sit down ever and say, I am going to spend 25 years in the insurance industry. That's my plan, but that's how it unfolded. So I hope they hear that. The other thing that I want to talk about as well, and this comes from my industrial engineering background and being very much into kind of human system interface, is the importance still of the human element, even though there's technology, there's automation, there's a lot of different ways that things happen, but in the end you get things done through inspiring people and taking care of people.
That's perfect. I love that. So we really appreciate you being here, coming back to campus, spending some time with our students and our faculty. So we look forward to hearing you talk today. So thanks again.
No, I appreciate you having me.
For the Krannert Executive Forum, I'm Amber Watkins. Thank you for watching.